Hello everyone, my name is Dylan and welcome to a brand new video. If you are new here, hi there, I post fun and entertaining English lessons every single Friday. So today I'm going to be showing you some more real everyday British English. Yes, in fact we are keeping it very real today, as in this video I'll be looking at 18 of the most common British stereotypes and letting you know whether they are true, false, or somewhere in the middle. So in this video you can expect to learn how British people feel about Americans, what we do on holiday, whether or not we all have drinking problems, if we swear too much, why we wear hats so often, our thoughts on the royal family, and much more. This video will not only be good for helping you to improve your listening, reading, and pronunciation skills, but as always, I'm also going to be teaching you some of the everyday expressions and vocabulary that I used whilst I was rambling on. So if you see something pop up on the screen, that means it will be explained at the end of the video in a free PDF. The link is in the top comment. You don't need to sign up to anything if you don't want to. Just hit the link and press download. I will also include the full transcript from today's video, which you can see right here. And it just means that you can read along with me. Finally, if you would like to listen on the go, why not follow my Spotify? The link is in the top comment and I post weekly videos there as well. Right guys, let's do this. Very quickly before we get started, I also teach private one-to-one lessons online. So if you wish to improve your British English listening, speaking, accent or vocabulary in a fun, unique and interactive way, you can do so with my personal and private support. I've also recently started a free newsletter which you can sign up to receive exclusive videos and fun learning resources every single week. So all of the links are in the top comment. And yeah, as soon as you sign up to this newsletter, I will send you an exclusive video right to your inbox. And it's actually a good video. Right. Thank you for listening and enjoy the video. 18 British stereotypes. Right, let's get into this. Number 1, Brits love talking about the weather. So I used to think this was a myth or untrue, but I don't anymore. I'm going to have to say that this one is in fact true. Hear me out, hear me out. It's not that when we go to the pub or when we see our friends, we have long, in-depth conversations about the weather. That doesn't really happen. However, one thing I have noticed is that it always pops up. It's always mentioned in one way or another. So whenever I speak to my friends or my family, I'm actually not in the UK at the moment, they will always, without fail, say something like, so what's the weather like over there? It's been awful here. Or so what type of weather do you have over there? It's just been terrible here. And this last part is quite important. I'll tell you why in a minute. Anyway, this happens without fail. So as mentioned, I didn't used to think that this was true, this stereotype, but it's only when you start listening out for it that you notice that the weather does very often come up in conversation, especially in small talk. So if the weather is good, we might say something like, I can't actually remember what we say when the weather is good. I'm just joking, guys. Right, we'll say something like, it's a nice day today, isn't it? Or it's a beautiful day today, or it's a good day for it. This last one is normally used when you are talking about a specific activity that you have planned to do on that day, only if that activity is affected by how good the weather is. So say if you wanted to play some golf or some football, if the sun is shining, you might say, it's a good day for it. So you'll notice that when we are talking about the weather, we will often refer to it as the whole day. So if it's good weather, we might say, it's a nice day, or it's a beautiful day. If it's bad weather, we might say, it's a grim day. And grim just means bad. Anyway, this stereotype is definitely true. If you don't believe me, just go to the UK or speak to a British person and listen out for it. And by the way, when we do finally get even the tiniest little inkling of good weather, everyone in the country loses their mind, sets up a barbecue and goes swimming in the sea. I've got some examples here. So this was from a news article And in the article, it said that the weather was 21 degrees. 21 degrees. And as you can see, the beach is absolutely packed. So that gives you some context. 21 degrees is all it takes for us to act like this. And then this photo is also really good because it's just so relatable. We have some people here having a barbecue, and look at the sky. It's not even sunny whatsoever. It's cloudy. It's overcast. Yeah, they're all here. They're wearing their shorts. They're as pale as can be. And yeah, they probably saw like the tiniest little glimpse of sunshine in the morning, instantly ran off to Tesco to get their disposable barbecues and, food. And here they are having a great time. And this is just so relatable. Everything about this, the dead grass they're sitting on, the fact that at about 5 p.m. it's going to start getting pretty cold and everyone there is going to regret wearing shorts. It's just so relatable. It's so relatable. This is the most British photo I think I've seen in my life. If there were 2 photos that you could use to perfectly sum up the British summer, it would be this one and this one, especially this one. Right, number 2, we love complaining. Apparently, British people love to complain about everything. Once again, this is true. Kind of. So we do like complaining, but that's the thing, we actually enjoy doing it. I think a lot of the time when we are complaining, we aren't actually that annoyed. We're just doing something that we like. It's almost like a hobby for us. So Japan likes baseball, America likes eating, and we like complaining. It is what it is. So this does tie in with the previous topic. As mentioned, we like to talk about the weather. However, we love to complain about it. So I'm going to show you the British attitude towards the weather. We've got a nice little meme here, British summer, that one day sun, all the other days pissing it down. And this is so true as well. Right, so 85% of the time you will hear something like, "Oh, the weather is so shit today," or "It's such a grim day." 10% of the time you'll hear something like, "Oh, mate, it's so hot today," or "Oh, it's too hot. I can barely think." And 5% of the time, you will hear something like, "Yeah, it's a beautiful day today. This is all right, isn't it? Yeah, it's not bad." 5% might be a bit generous, but yeah, the point is, we're never satisfied, especially when it comes to the weather. And another example of this is the football. So England recently got to the finals of the Euros, which is a football tournament. And we'll talk about that a bit later on. Anyway, our now former manager, Gareth Southgate, is known for playing very boring football, even though we have a lot of pretty good players. However, despite this boring football, we were still winning matches somehow, and we managed to make... And as mentioned, we made it to the final. Yet, everyone was still complaining because even though we were winning these games, it was a little bit boring to watch. And all of these players, they were kind of going to waste. So I was also one of the people that were complaining, even though we did make it to the final. But, we did lose, so... Anyway, the point is, we like to complain. We enjoy it. It's like a hobby to us. So this stereotype is indeed correct. Right, number 3, it rains all the time. I'm going to keep this one short and sweet. This is kind of true. It does rain quite a lot, but it isn't normally heavy rain, in my opinion. We tend to have British weather, which is like overcast, grey, and involves gentle rain, so drizzle. And this is a perfect example. And despite the fact these people all have umbrellas and ponchos, that's how you can tell they're tourists and not actually from here, because no one in the UK is that well prepared. Maybe umbrellas if it's chucking it down, but ponchos, it's not happening. It's not happening. So I think this one is kind of true. It does rain a lot, but it's kind of like drizzle, as mentioned. It isn't heavy rain, so I'm going to put this in the kind of true category. If you were to say it's grey and cloudy all the time, I'd say definitely. That's definitely right, but yeah. And also, yes, I am aware that I've just spent the first 10 minutes of this video talking about the weather. Let's move on. But first, let's talk about the weather a bit more. So we got a couple memes here. At what point does it stop being good for the garden? That's cute. There's a little duck there. And UK weather. So yeah, this one sums up what I was talking about earlier. Winter. How do I describe that photo? Wet. Spring, wet. Summer, 2 weeks of blistering, scorching, searing, torrid heat. Autumn wet. And of course, this is a joke. This isn't actually true. There's no way we're getting 2 weeks of summer. Okay, number 4. Brits are obsessed with the royal family. Now, this one is 100% true. We all love the royal family. If you didn't know, this is actually the mandatory school uniform across the UK, this t-shirt right here. So I personally start every single day by bowing to a poster of King Charles. And I do this for about an hour every morning, and all of my friends and family do the exact same thing. And this is the poster I bow to. And this is how I feel whilst I'm doing it. Of course, I'm joking. I couldn't care less about the royal family, and I think the majority of the people here feel the same way. Don't get me wrong though, some people are genuinely obsessed with them, which is a bit odd in my opinion, but YK, each to their own. I have nothing against them. Some people do, which I can also understand for the record, but personally, I just don't really care, and I think that's the best way to put it, to be honest. If I were to guess England's relationship with the royal family, I'd say 10% superfan, so hang up the King Charles posters and the I love the royal family t-shirts, 10% hatred, and 80% just don't really care, to be honest, like me. I have just completely made those stats up, and I might be wrong, but as mentioned, who really cares? So yeah, no hate from me personally, just a sincere lack of interest. Also, right, so this whole Harry and Rachel outrage is just ridiculous. I know this happened like a couple of years ago, but people are still talking about it. If you are a British person who was genuinely outraged by the fact that a man you don't even know married an American paralegal you don't even know, and then left the rainy UK to move to sunny LA, respectfully, let it go, mate. Like, this surely does not actually impact your life. Number 5, Brits love to drink tea. True. This is absolutely true. Number 6, Brits have bad teeth. Now, I think this is actually untrue. I understand I am opening myself up to ridicule here. I think all countries have people with bad teeth. Some just care more than others about it. And what I mean by that is British people are quite cautious and reserved. I know I've said that a million times before, but it is relevant. I think that means that we are less willing to have cosmetic surgery on our teeth and in general to make them look like this. It does still happen. I don't have a problem with it, but it is less common. Like, you're a lot less likely to see someone in the UK with these teeth that are absolutely perfect, like they've obviously been worked on. So I'm going to have to say this is false, but I don't think our teeth are particularly bad compared to any other country. They're just sort of normal, they're all right. We're just less likely to turn them into these. Yeah. Number 7, Brits love queuing. Yes, absolutely true, and I wouldn't have it any other way. In my opinion, this is objectively a good thing about the UK. It shows a level of manners, respect, and equality, which is a good thing for any country. So I think we are lucky to have this instilled into us, to be honest. I wanted to bring up this photo again. This is from an Ed Sheeran concert at the O2, and it's sold out. So I'm still trying to work out exactly what's going on here, but as far as I can tell, this is where you want to be, this is where Ed is, and this is the entrance to the arena. There are barriers here to help people form an orderly queue, but there are no barriers here, and the hundreds of British people that have just turned up have managed to form their own perfect snake-shaped queues, despite the fact there are no barriers. And this was without any instruction. They just rocked up and they intrinsically started queuing. It's what we do. It's what we do. All right, number 8, all Brits wear hats. Where has this come from? And we like hats as much as any other country, no more and no less. A lot of people wear caps, normally forwards, backwards is a bit American, but you do see it occasionally, normally with university rugby players, pairing it with tiny shorts and a massive hangover. If you know, you know. Beanies in the winter are also pretty popular. Anyway, I think this stereotype that British people love wearing hats has come from photos like this, where all the men go around wearing top hats and all the ladies go around wearing whatever this is. There are certain events, like the Royal Ascot, which is like a posh horse racing event, where people do still wear suits and hats and get drunk and do other substances. But most of the time, we are a relatively hatless nation. No cap. Right, number 9, we drink lots of alcohol. I'd say this is true, but it is changing a bit. Of course, we do like a drink, it's part of the culture, but I think this is true for a lot of other countries as well, so not just the UK. Like, you can't tell me that the average Polish geezer is getting out-drunk by anyone. It's not happening. I've met Polish people, right? Vodka tastes like water to them. And I mean that in a good way. It's quite impressive. Anyway, the reason why I think it's a widely held belief that British people love drinking is because, well, firstly, we do. And secondly, because we are very happy to start drinking whenever in the day, regardless of what time it is. Like, it's not uncommon for people on the weekend to start drinking at midday, so 12 p.m. until like 3 a.m. So that's 15 hours of drinking. And this mindset is epitomized by something we have here called bottomless brunch. So brunch is this made up meal between breakfast and lunch, and it normally happens between 11 a.m. And you can expect to eat, it's pretty much just like a full English. So with bottomless brunch, you basically buy a ticket, you pay a certain amount of money, you are then let into a restaurant or a bar. It tends to be like a bar that serves food. I wouldn't really call them restaurants. And you're allowed to go there. You're allowed to sit there for 2 hours. During those 2 hours, you will be served a plate of food, and you will also be given unlimited alcohol. So it's not all you can eat, it's all you can drink. And the alcohol tends to be Prosecco, which is kind of like a knockoff champagne, but realistically, no one can tell the difference. You can get cocktails, and you can get, beer as well. Obviously, you can probably get like wine and other things too. And that just sums it up. So this is at 11 a.m. So you go in here at 11, you sit here for 2 hours drinking as much as you can because, you got to get your money's worth. And then at 1 a.m. you come stumbling out. And then what are you going to do at that time? It's 1 p.m. So it's 1 p.m. on a Saturday. You're already drunk. Are you going to go home and read a book or do some gardening? No, you're going to go and sit in another pub or outside another pub and carry on drinking. And that will go on until about 3 a.m. Yeah. Alternatively, if you are in an airport, you don't even have to wait till 11 a.m. to start drinking. Any time is fair game for a pint. There's nothing like a nice 6 a.m. beer to start the day. Anyway, I personally don't know if any other countries get lit midday. If so, then come to the UK and you'll feel right at home, mate. So I'm going to say this is true, but as mentioned, British people, young people in particular, are drinking less in general. So that's something to bear in mind. All right, number 10, we get sunburnt on holiday. Now, this is quite an unknown stereotype. And of course, I don't really know about sunburns personally. I only really get tan. So I've got like quite naturally bronzed skin, as you can see. But apparently, if some people spend too long in the sun, they'll get burnt, which is very lame. Couldn't be me. So there is a stereotype that some British people like to go on holiday to somewhere hot, sunny, and full of cheap beer and end up getting a bit sunburnt in the process. And this is 100% factual. If you are on, like, we call these things panda eyes, and that's when you leave your sunglasses on and you have this massive, like, not even tan line, burn line around your eyes. It's pretty funny. And this guy, I think, fell asleep with his hand on his chest. Anyway, if you are on one of these holidays, you may be less concerned with the factor 50 sunblock than you should be, and you instead decide to rely on the smoke from your cigarette and all the spilt lager to form some sort of magical protective barrier and keep your skin safe from the sun. But unfortunately, it doesn't always work out like that, so this one is true. Number 11, we all use British humour. Now, what do you think? This is obviously untrue. Why would someone from Britain use British humour? I mean, yeah, we're constantly exposed to it. It's part of our DNA. It helps us to bond with people from our country, and it's the backbone of any friendship we might ever hope to have. But apart from all those reasons, why would we even use British humour? Like, it's not even funny. Number 12, we are all sarcastic. Now, what do you think? This is obviously untrue. Why would someone from Britain use sarcasm? I mean, yeah, we're constantly exposed to it. It's part of our DNA. It helps us to bond with people from our country, and it's the backbone of any friendship we might ever hope to have. But apart from all those reasons, why would we even be sarcastic? Like, it's not even funny. Number 13, British people are cold. Of course we are cold. It's bloody freezing here. How is that even a real... Oh, you mean like metaphorically cold? Like unfriendly, not actually like physically cold. Okay, I get you. Yeah, this is true. No, yeah, this is untrue. Don't worry, I had you there. Yeah, this is untrue. Don't worry. I did touch on this on my last video, a full guide to the UK. You should definitely check that out. Link is in the top comment. But we aren't actually unfriendly. We're just, say it with me, guys. You know what I'm going to say. We aren't unfriendly. We are just reserved. That is our excuse. This means that we are unlikely to come up and start talking to you and, God forbid, smile at you. But if we do find a socially acceptable way to start a conversation, you will see that we are actually all right. We're not unfriendly. I promise. Right, number 14, British people swear a lot. Yeah, this is true, but I like to think that it isn't vulgar swearing. It isn't meant to offend or hurt people's feelings. It's just part of the humour. Yeah, try putting up with weather like this for 20 years and tell me that you aren't going to be tempted to start using the occasional swear word every now and then. It's bound to happen. As mentioned, British people are pretty good at swearing though, and by this I mean we are normally able to use a swear word to add a level of humour without it being unpleasant or unnecessary. We don't just swear for the sake of it or to be edgy, there's an art to it. Number 15, Brits are super polite. I'm proud to say that this is actually true. On paper, anyway. Let me explain. So it is true that we say please, thank you, sorry, and cheers a lot, definitely more than is strictly necessary. So in that sense, we are polite. As mentioned, we also love queuing for things. So in that sense, we are also polite. However, you could argue that because we say please, sorry, thank you, and cheers so much, that these words kind of lose their meaning, and we are only saying them as a formality so that we don't get reported for improper manners and have our passports taken from us and burned in a big, impolite bonfire. You could argue that, but personally, I don't think that is actually the case. I think that despite the fact it is overused, we are actually pretty polite in general. Not everyone, obviously, but the majority of people in the UK and in the world are decent. Another thing is that people in Britain are constantly taking the piss out of each other and everything else in the world, which some people could see as impolite, but honestly, it's just banter. It's part of the culture. So overall, I'm going to confirm the validity of this stereotype. This means it's true, we are actually polite. Right, number 16, British food is terrible. Once again, this is something we covered last week in the full guide to the UK. Link is in the top comment. And before I made that video, I used to think that this stereotype was fair game. I used to think, yeah, British food is terrible. I can see why people say that. However, after actually sitting down and reviewing / looking at some of our popular dishes, I'm going to have to call cap on this. That means it isn't true. That's why that joke was so funny earlier when I said that British people don't wear hats. I said we're a hatless nation. No cap. But they do say that taste is subjective and everyone is entitled to their own opinions. And that of course includes you guys. So for this section, I'm just going to show you some random British dishes that we actually eat because we don't actually eat this, don't worry. And I will let you decide for yourself whether or not you think British food is bad. So here we are. Have a look, guys. Feast your eyes on this. We have bangers and mash, Sunday roast, full English breakfast, scones and tea, Scotch eggs, beans on toast, fish and chips, and jacket potato. I've got something in my eye. Anyway, have a look, make up your mind, and let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Or don't. I don't really care either way. Right, number 17, British people dislike Americans. I think this is false. We just like to take the piss. I certainly don't hate Americans. In fact, all of the Americans I've met have actually been really nice and chill and friendly. And that is something that I did actually want to briefly talk about, as I have been away lately, and one of the main things I have noticed is the stark difference between meeting an English person abroad and an American person abroad. I can absolutely see why the cold British reserve can be mistaken for unfriendliness. British people are a lot harder to start conversations with than American people are, and that is coming from a British person. So that is one thing I do like about the USA, that the people are a lot more outgoing and friendly. Maybe not more friendly, because as mentioned, that is like a myth that British people aren't friendly, but more outgoing, and that can be perceived as friendliness. Anyway, this piss taking isn't a one-way street because Americans are constantly making funny jokes about us as well. These jokes include bottle of water, because it's funny because it sounds like bottle of water. Bottle of water. Now this one's funny because it sounds like bottle of water. Bottle of water. Now the reason why this one is funny is because it sounds like bottle of water. Bottle of water. Now the reason behind this joke is because sometimes it might sound like bottle of water. And last but definitely not least, we have bottle of water. And the reason why this one is funny is because it sounds like bottle of water. Wait a minute, these are all the same joke. What? Oh, I get it. It's because that joke is so funny that the more times you say it, the funnier it gets. I understand, right. But this stereotype is untrue. We don't hate each other. Well, I hope not anyway. We just take the piss out of each other, you know. Right, last but not least, British people like football. This is pretty true. So there are large portions of the UK that don't like football, but the majority of men, I would say, have some sort of interest in football, and women's football is slowly but surely becoming a lot more popular as well. So that's good to see. Liking football in the UK kind of gives you a mutual interest with a large majority of people, and it just gives you something to bond over. That is, of course, until you find out that you like different teams than each other, and that newfound bond is very quickly and effectively broken. Right, let me give you a summary. Brits love talking about the weather. True. We love complaining. True. It rains all the time. Kind of true. Brits are obsessed with the royal family. False. Brits love to drink tea. True. Brits have bad teeth. False. Brits love queuing. True. All Brits wear hats. False. We drink lots of alcohol. Yeah, true. Kind of true. We get sunburnt on holiday. True. We all use British humour. True. We are all sarcastic. True. British people are cold. Physically, yes, but metaphorically, false. British people swear a lot. True. British people are super polite. True. Super polite is so American. You can tell I copy and pasted that from some website. British food is terrible. False. British people dislike Americans. False. We just take the piss. British people like football. True. And there you have it, guys. Right, guys, as I've just said, there we have it. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. As mentioned, all the useful words and expressions that popped up on the screen will be explained in a free PDF. The link is in the top comment, and you don't need to sign up to anything if you don't want to. All I ask in return is that if you did enjoy today's video, I don't know, why not consider liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and maybe even commenting down below. It all makes a massive difference. As mentioned, I do also teach private one-to-one lessons. All the information is available on my website, and the link is in the top comment. Why not sign up to my newsletter as well? As mentioned at the start, you literally get an exclusive video sent right to your inbox as soon as you sign up. If you would like to stay in touch, I would recommend following my Instagram, which is BritishEducation_, or my Spotify, where all my videos are posted and you can listen on the go. That is just British Education. Once again, all the links will be in the top comment. As mentioned, I post new videos every Friday, so hopefully I will see you there. Cheers. Oh, and also, by the way, the full guide to the UK should be popping up on the screen somewhere. I'm not too sure where, but that's also a good video to check out. Anyway, cheers. Nice.